Yeah, greetings, people. Doc Martin from the Roadman's Guide. What we wanted to do is just, by way of an introduction to the show, is really to talk to the producer of the show, one of the founders of the concept and the idea, Richard. So, Richard.
How you doing?
Greetings.
Greetings, Mr. Doc.
Listen, yeah, we don't need to be formal, yeah.
No, we don't.
So let's go right back to the beginning of this thing, yeah, because, you know, people have been hearing me, or they will be hearing me on the Roadman's Guide. I mean, you know, when I kind of first came up with the idea to do this, I mean, what was your initial response?
Well, my initial response was really good because I had something kind of similar in my own head that I wanted to look at. And it was people I was speaking to about, well, let's have a look about what people are actually doing out there in our community rather than looking at all the negative we see on the media and all the stuff about it. I knew there was underlining that there was some great people doing some good stuff. So when you had a look and came to me the idea of the Roadman Guide Dr, that's why I jumped on it straight away.
So, you know, when I was talking about let's do it as a podcast series, what was your initial thoughts about doing podcasts?
Well, you know that we have a working relationship and we've done quite a few stuff. And podcasting is one of the things that's becoming very popular now. And I believe it's a way of the future where people will be tuned in into a lot of stuff, even down to learning.
You know, I mean, when I think about the music business, I think of artists and producers. I think of A&R people, publicity people. How would you describe the working relationship we have? Because although I'm an artist, but primarily I'm an academic. I read, a bit of an anorak. So, because a lot of people will be thinking, how does an academic get together with a music producer and make it successful? So, I mean, how would you respond to them?
I would respond by first of all, you're a very creative guy, whether it's with music, with arts, with writing, with performance. You're an all-round guy, and it's a pleasure and easy to work with somebody who has so many attributes. So there's never moment when you don't think of creating something new. I mean, we'd probably start something and within 5 days you've hit something else. And so that, for me as a producer, gives me to be creative with music in a different dimension and a different genre. I mean, for instance, the Roadman's Guide for me of making and producing the introduction to that was just by purely as you listening to your voice of the first take an interview. And so for me, as a producer, it makes me now think outside of the box in my creation and creating music. So I think that sits well with me. And you now have a work level that we don't really have to really think about it. We just now do.
So it's kind of just working as a team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, why is it important that we have all of these different voices that we want to kind of share with the community?
I think it's important that, where we have people in this modern society that don't really come out their house anymore, don't really engage. We have a lot of isolation, individuality. So with all these new gadgets that we've got, it's easy for people to access about what they see for themselves, what community means to them. And so it's easy for them to access, like somebody who can't read or write can simply sit at home and still listen to the podcasting that we've done. And I think that's very important because nowadays everybody sits and gets kids as young as 4 or 5 now have iPads that they could still listen to with parents and stuff. So I think it's very, very useful in that way.
So if you're shopping or you're in hands of Astor Newtown,
you got your phone.
If somebody comes up to you and said, "Yo, Richard, the Roadman's Guide, man. I mean, what's going on with that? What's that all about? What would you say?"
I say go and tune in. You got your phone. You can log on. It's accessible on all media outlets, so it's easy for people to access.
Oh, what's it about, blood? They say, "Yo, what's it about?"
Well, the Roadman Guide is about community. It's about reflecting. It's about where everybody's positioning are. It's about what does community mean to people. It's about what people are doing in the community. It means a collective effort. It's not just about a black thing. If you look on the series as you go through to the end, you'll see a multicultural diversity of different people from different backgrounds, from different faiths, from...
So, if you was going to give a couple of pointers to the community, things that you'd like to say about the kind of work that we're doing, what would you want to say?
I'd like to say that it's enjoyable. First of all, for me, I think when people enjoy doing what they really want to do, that gives people focus. It makes them become really disciplined. It gives them drive. It gives them momentum, motivation. And I think from all of this, I've learned to become fearless. I've learned to become, not even consider it, not even question it, but let's go out and do it. And I think that for me has been my biggest overcome for myself, and taking up this journey and doing a lot of work with yourself. That's one of the greatest things I've taken from it. And it's been pleasurable in actually doing the things that we've attained.
Now, we were speaking just a while ago and I said I've got a really bad memory. So one of the things that's really important for everybody listening is that, yes, you hear my voice and I know I'm doing all the interviews and stuff, but, to put this together, this ain't really about... I'm speaking, yeah. You're producing, and we're talking about. Tell the audience, right, the team of people that make up all of this.
Well, it's a great team effort. We have from young to old people, which is really significant. Again, we have.
Wait a minute, old.
Yeah, you
said
we have
old.
some
You referring to me there?
I'm saying it. I'm putting out there that you're coming to that age where you're more older, more wiser, more mature than the rest of us. We have Wayne behind us, who's very good, just finished university in music technology. He's one of our top technical engineers, producer, sound engineer, stroke composer. You have the other Wayne Chambers, who's another composer, engineer. And these guys sit behind the scenes and do a lot of the editing, a lot of the mixing, make sure the quality of the voice is there, and they do all the mastering to it. You have Jeffrey that does a lot of the imageries or the album covers, the designs, the videoing, the editing. So we all work as a team, and it's like a production. It's like if you make bread on a production, somebody makes the bread, then somebody puts it into then they get the design, and it goes down the conveyor belt, and we get an end product. Like the stuff that we have been doing it. So it does take a collective team effort in everybody playing their part and their role to make it successful like we have.
So why does it work? What is it about all of this that makes it work?
I think it works because we're all on the same page. We all get the concept. One of the things you always say, and I'm going to refer back to you in a minute, is that why doesn't nobody get this until it's actually done? And for me, it's about people really don't understand some concept until it's actually delivered. But what we have is very clear, is that we're very clear what this is all about. And I think it's having everybody on that same page. Because one of the things I want to ask you is your spin on the Roadman's Guide. And now you've seen this actually now take place, was it exactly what you thought this would be?
Yeah, I don't live in my head. Basically, I get an idea, I act upon the idea. I think in some respects, in fact, it's kind of surpassed my expectations, because my initial intention was, and it's based on my work at university and working in prisons, that I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. But I suppose, I'm one of those people that have watched everybody from Jeremy Kyle and Jerry Springer and Graham Norton, all of these people. And I've very, very seldom have I seen a black person running a chat show. And then when we have, it's always comedy. So what I wanted to do is use the format and the technique I use as an interviewer, but to make it not about the interviewer. Because although it said the Roadman's Guide, the guide is for learned people with skills, insights, expertise, to guide us about the way the community is. Because when I read the newspapers and watch TV, I don't think they're describing the community I live in.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realise is if you come from a middle-class area, if you come from a suburb, a rural community, and you listen to the newspapers. So I wanted to make a statement, but not with me making a statement. Because as an academic, I'm always writing a book or writing a paper. And yet, all the research I do is with other people. So I wanted to reverse it and actually let all the people that I kind of know and talk to, let them tell the story. Because and I know this might sound strange, I'm tired of listening to my own voice, but in terms of, I'm tired of the isolation of coming up with an idea and I have to live it in my head. And what this has done for me, I've learned something on every interview. Every interview that people's going to listen to, there's things to learn, there's insights. And the thing that I've got from this as well is the more I know, the less I know. So to me, it's kind of surpassed its expectation, because the thing that I also have to say is that technically, to be in a studio setting, to have technicians, to have speakers, to have a chair to sit on, to do this properly, I mean, it doesn't get no better than this. So I think the quality of the experience is as good as the content of what we're talking about. It's just an overall great experience.
So where would you want to see the growth of the Roadman's Guide go? What is next?
Me personally, there was many years ago, there was a guy called Phil Donahue. Phil Donahue used to one of the first serious chat shows. Then you had people like David Frost, Parkinson. And I always remember some of the greatest people in the world I ever saw were on those shows. They were either like community activists, like in Phil Donahue's case, and Oprah in her early days. We live in a visually literate culture. As much as social media is important, but it's a very visually literate culture. What this process has taught me is that now we've heard people want to see the people. So one of the next phases is to consider like doing some live streamed version on Facebook. I'm also interested in a live version where you can get a community of people together, and I can bring these guests into a community setting and do the same thing, but get the community involved. But ultimately, I remember when Oprah said she wanted to get her own studio. Mm-hmm. And she used the first many years of her life as a chat show host to then get her own studio. And I think what I'm interested in is the skills that come from the show, production skills, verbal skills, presentation skills. I would like to build a foundation where we produce our own content, where we produce and direct the things we want to say. We're in an area of fake news. Now, I didn't make that term up, but what we have is people in the media who distort the facts, who are presenting misinformation. So the politics of this, we need to be able to present information that's grounded, that's robust, that's accurate, that's concise. But more importantly, it's inclusive, it's accessible, but it's shaped by the very same people that we're targeting.